Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Today's video is a season recap. Everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything that has to do with this 2022 season. And it's been a couple days since we took that whipping in the divisional round against the Philadelphia Eagles. And now that my emotions have settled down, I think I can talk about the season unbiasedly, especially with the effects of this game now wearing off. So first things first, the overall record for the New York Giants. The New York Giants went from a 4-win team to a 9-win team. Just that alone is a success. At the beginning of the year, I had a prediction that the Giants would go 9-8, possibly 10-7. We ended up going 9-7-1, so that's pretty close to where I predicted. Some of the games that we won, I thought we were going to lose, and some of those games that we lost, I thought we were going to win. I'm not going to go down every game, but right now, I will check that off as a success, being able to go from 4 wins to 9 wins and actually have a playoff berth. That's very big, especially with a first-year head coach, first-year GM. Now, just to talk about some of the moves that were made, again, that rookie class, I thought the rookie class was strong. It was a shame that a lot of guys went down with injuries. Almost half of the rookie class went down with injuries. If you're just running down the list, Beavers was an ACL, McKethan was an ACL, Wan'Dale Robinson an ACL, DJ Davis an ACL, Cordell Flott played most of the season but had a groin issue. Dane Belton had I believe it was the shoulder, the clavicle for Dane Belton. You just go down the list, man, and it was a lot of injuries. Some people blame it on the turf, and that's another thing. We will be replacing the ground, the turf at the stadium. Is that going to help? Possibly so. I hope so. Other than that, man, just thinking about the rookie class, I think it was a success because a lot of these guys contributed. Before Wan'Dale Robinson went down with injury, it looked like he was making strides in the offense. Before Darian Beavers went down in preseason, a lot of people had him pinned in, including myself, as the starting Mike linebacker. Marcus McKethan seemed like he was going to be a quality depth guy for the offensive line. Joshua Zuda was another guy that played a little bit, but also went down with injury with the neck. So, this draft class with all these guys going down early, when you get into next season, it's almost like we're going to have double the rookies because a lot of these guys will be coming back, hopefully healthy enough to play the full season, and you just can't wait to see what happens because that's a lot of players adding, to this 53, and a lot of guys with some real talent that should be able to contribute next year for cheap too, because these are still rookies from last year. And then going on to with the way we can draft this year, if we have another draft or even a better draft than what we did last year, I think the cap will be healthy in order for us to make the kind of moves that we need to make, and that's another thing too. But just going down some of the other good things I saw. You saw Daniel Bellinger. I want to spotlight Daniel Bellinger. So when we drafted Daniel Bellinger, really didn't have any notes on him. Really didn't know who the guy was. And as soon as we drafted him, I did what I normally do. I hop on YouTube, try to find some game tape. If I can't find game tape, I try to find some highlights. And I was able to see a little bit of what he could do. Then I'll go on Google, search him up, try to read some analysis that other people have put down, whether it's PFF, PFN, a lot of these draft network, a lot of these places, just to see what kind of guy Daniel Bellinger was. And that it was the same thing. One of the best blockers coming out of college, sneaky athletic, ran a 4.6 40 and had great size, 6'5", 250 pounds. That's the prototype for a tight end, but also fast enough to give you a little bit extra in the receiving game. So, and then you see in the season before he went down with the eye injury that, he can be somebody that could be special, in the future. Can it be a Kittle? Could it be a Kelsey? I'm not going to say anything like that, but he definitely gave me, Boss vibes, Kevin Boss type this year. That's the kind of season I was looking for out of a rookie. I think he gave us that. Kevin Boss type, Martellus Bennett possibly. He seems like he can be on that level, but can he be a Witten? Can he be one of those? Can his name go against, some of the best? That's something that we have to wait and see. But his skill set talent, toughness, being able to block and also receive, I won't hold anything back with this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes one of those big name tight ends because he has all the talent in the world to be able to do that. Needs to hold on to the ball though, because that strip was big in that first Minnesota game. But Wan'Dale Robinson, talking about Wan'Dale Robinson, right before he hurt himself, man, he had 100 yards in 3 quarters. And I know Joe Schoen had mentioned that in the presser, but it was real. He had the knee injury earlier in the season. We had to wait forever. It seemed like forever for him to come back and contribute. And right when he got going, the man tears his ACL, and you hate to see it, but you had a good enough glimpse of what he could do, possibly with this offense. Cordell Flott, another guy, was able to make one of the biggest plays in our playoff win. Dealt with some injuries as well. He's on a slim side, great height, great length. If he gains a little bit of weight, who knows, he can develop into a CB2. Definitely a slot guy right now, but has the frame. If he fills out, he could possibly be a CB2 in the future. Definitely a part of the cornerback room. But that's just some of the guys I wanted to talk about. Obviously you want to talk about Kayvon Thibodeaux and Evan Neal, but I'll get back to those guys a little bit later. Now, since I brought up the presser, I'll just talk about the presser a little bit. And Joe Schoen did let it be known that he would like to have Daniel Jones back. He would also like to have Saquon Barkley back. And again, feelings aside, not going to judge off of that one playoff loss in the Philadelphia Eagles game. I think it's the right decision for Daniel Jones to be back. I can't wait to see what type of deal it is, the years, the money. That'll tell me a lot more of exactly where Joe Schoen is. For me, I think, a 3-year deal possibly, just under $30 million per. And then, the way they work the contracts, the cap hit has to be lower than that. If you can get a cap hit in the teens or something like that and just work that salary down off of bonuses, roster bonuses, signing bonuses, things like that, I think it's a good deal. And the other thing is this, signing Daniel Jones does not prevent you from drafting quarterbacks, so at the end of the day, you still need to develop a good backup. You just don't want to pay money for backups and things like that. But that's another thing that should be in the works, going into this draft. I believe that Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll have the pulse of this team. They know exactly what's needed in order for us to compete in the division first, and then in the conference, and then ultimately, for some championships. But I have full trust in Joe Schoen, full trust in Brian Daboll that these guys can make those type of moves to get us to where we need to be. Now, defensively, there's a lot of needs. We saw in that Philadelphia game that we lack speed. We lack consistent interior linebacker play. And also, we need to get better in the secondary. Now, the secondary was able to hold up. Pretty much in this last game, we couldn't stop the run. And that was one of the things for the whole season. We couldn't really get a stop on the run. And you would think that it would be better with guys like Dexter Lawrence, who had a fantastic year, all-pro year. So I'm very proud of him. Surprisingly so, too. Who knew? Once you move that man back to his position, his natural position of nose tackle, he was able to excel. But he absolutely exceeded my expectations on how good he would be. And he ended up being one of the top defensive tackles in the league off of just moving inside. And you saw what happened. So we did pick up his 5th-year option. Do they plan on extending them this year? Possibly so. But like I said, we have him locked in for the 2023 season. So that's good. Julian Love was having a big season. Halfway through, I thought he was the MVP on the defensive side. He led the team in tackles, led the team in interceptions. I mean, we only had one at the time, but Julian Love was making plays all over the place. His play did kind of go down. Once McKinney went down, he had to play a different position. He couldn't play his natural position, and you saw it affect him a little bit more. McKinney is another guy you want to talk about. Barring that injury, what kind of season could he have had? Does what happened affect, his future deal, his future contract? You don't know, but Hopefully, I just pray that he can come back fully healthy. He still had the mitt on. I'm pretty sure, once he gets back, for the 2023 season, he'll be back in regular gloves, back making plays. But what do you do for him? It's a lot of question marks. Andrew Thomas is another guy, but I think we wait on him because we still have his rights for 2 years because he was a first-round pick and we have the 5th-year option. So there's a lot of moves that need to be made in the offseason. But, again, I trust Joe Schoen to make those things happen. Now, Saquon Barkley, reports came out that the team offered him $12 million at the buy per. And then I'm seeing reports that he's looking at earning about $16 million per. Now, here's the thing. I think Saquon Barkley is worth a lot of money. $16 million, $20 million. He could be worth any of those numbers. For the New York Giants, $16 million per for a running back. Especially when you're still trying to rebuild your offensive line, and the running back position is dependent on the offensive line and how well they play. It seems a little rich in my opinion. $16 million for Saquon seems a little rich. That $12 million seems about right for me for the New York Giants. Again, this is not me putting a price on Saquon Barkley, just a price on Saquon Barkley for the Giants. And they can make the money work just like they can make the money work for Daniel Jones, signing bonuses, a low cap hit. But when you think about it and you think about the bigger picture with the Giants moving forward, Saquon Barkley being 26 years old, and if we're going to be competitive for the next couple of years, will Saquon Barkley still be in his prime when we're a consistent contender? And does he want to do that? So a lot of question marks, man. There's a lot of question marks. I think it's going to be an exciting preseason, exciting offseason. Free agency period, draft. And I just can't wait to see that, man. I can't wait to see that. Another thing that could happen is Mike Kafka's getting interviews. I'm seeing that he's going to be requested for a second interview with the Texans. And I'm like, right now it is what it is. When your team is moving in the right direction, other teams, they want your coaches, the guys that they can get. And if he's a hot name right now, and they offer him a lot of money, I think Mike Kafka might go. In my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to go to a team like the Texans because right now the Texans organization needs a lot of work. And I would hate for him to go there, try to build that team back, don't get the success and get knocked back down, and fall on that coaching tree. I think he should be here for at least another 1 to 2 years before he does that. But that's me being selfish as well as a New York Giant fan. Wink Martindale generating some interest too. For me, I think that Wink Martindale will return. It's just something about Wink that does not scream head coach, and it's not his talent. It's just for me, it's his vibe. He seems like a defensive guy. He seems like a guy that likes to focus on the defense. And if you give him the head coaching job, can he manage everything? Can he manage? Not saying that it's impossible, but does he seem like that kind of guy that wants to be hands off the defense? Allow his coordinators to call the plays and sit back and just be the general. He could do it possibly, but who knows? But to me, Wink seems like the defensive coordinator is the perfect spot for him. And as long as the Giants are able to give him the tools that he needs to succeed in the system, good interior linebacker play, some more dominant secondary, Wink is going to get a lot of shots to be a head coach, a lot of interviews. But build this defense up, get the Giants franchise back to where it's supposed to be, a tough defensive team. Then I think the doors will open up even more for Wink Martindale. You see what happens after one good year of Giants success. He's getting even more, coaching interviews. So, again, proud of the coaching staff, proud of the GM. Brandon Brown is another one. The assistant GM, Brandon Brown, I don't want to lose this guy most of all. The way that him and Joe Schoen, drafted this year, how they selected the free agents, whether they were picking guys off of practice squads, grabbing people off the waiver wire. Brandon Brown is a good resource for the New York Giants, the perfect assistant GM, and he's going to be a hot commodity as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some interviews for some GM positions. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But again, just a lot to talk about. This offseason is going to be fantastic. Just wanted to do a quick recap of this year. Again, and next year, Next season, hopefully we have the tools in there that we can, have a similar type of year. If we can make the playoffs again, fantastic. But it all depends on what happens this offseason. If we bring DJ back, if we bring Saquon Barkley back, how do we fix this offensive line? How do we make this team better as a whole? And if we make the right decisions and get the right people in the building as far as player personnel, we could be right back in the playoffs next year. But I do think that the Giants will be real contenders. Year after year contenders. No question. No lucky streaks. No nothing like that within the next 2 seasons. Absolutely. Next 2 seasons, I think we can do that. But I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I know we're getting into the off season. I will be, doing videos on draft prospects, mock drafts, player analysis, top 5 rankings, things like that. You let me know what you want to see in the comments below, and I'm pretty sure we can get something done for sure. But again, I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. It's been a fantastic season. Like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm going to be continuing to bring this content to you guys all off season long. So from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows Big Blue Nation. Let's go.